Hurricane Scarlet. We go again.
How you doing, mate? You okay?
I'm good. What do we do every time we start these goddamn podcasts? We go, oh, it's amazing. Every Thursday we're breaking records. It's oh my God, we can't believe how fucking fantastic we are, right? And then we recorded, or we had a bank of episodes that we wanted to get out before so we could keep them fresh. So we never recorded for the first time. We started this last Thursday when Breaking Bands came out. And that one, despite doing okay, didn't do as well. So it would have been the one to introduce and go, oh, well, you know what? The bubble's burst. We're giving up this podcast. And then what happens today? Cancelled festivals come out and it is flying.
It's the best one so far, isn't it? It has taken off, and we're feeling pretty cocky again.
Yeah, if you guys last Thursday would have been sitting here going, I think we've reached an audience, James. It's clearly the bubble is burst, but here we go now, back to thinking of planning a live tour.
Yeah, look, I think have you just announced the live tour there? Gav and James on tour. I haven't told my wife yet.
I was hoping we'd call like two promoters, one pod. I'd want Gav and James on tour. For however poorly the podcast would sell, I think Gav and James on tour would sell worse.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. But yeah, it's really good. We're feeling fucking excited about it. And yeah, it's just cool. Like, you know, if we're totally honest, we didn't know when we started who would be interested, and more people every week, apart from 1 week out of the first however many we've done.
Yeah.
More people every week. It just goes up and up and up.
And now we know for a fact there is no bottom of the barrel. We can even talk about towels. we can even discuss towels, and people will tune in for 6 minutes. Ian Shaw, an agent for Surprise You're Dead in Birmingham, he phoned me today and went, the towels, mate. I need to talk to you about towels.
It feels like we should have a podcast just on explaining who's texted you that week, either pissed off or laughing. So Sarah, who works with me, texted me today saying, because she does our towels now. She's like, they're not fucking IKEA towels anymore. What are you talking about? So she's pissed off. I've got it wrong on the podcast. Just to be clear, we have upgraded the quality of towels at 2000 Trees and Arctangent. And I wasn't even aware. And
no one from the headline, was it Art Brute? No one for that, the one with the dog hair and 2000 Trees Mud. No one got in touch with you for that? No.
I'm still safe on that one.
Oh man! So how's life been treating you? I say we like to. We're starting these a little bit more professionally. We're not just jumping straight into the topic. Although this week's one will be headliners of the future. But how's your week been?
Yeah, good. So I've done a couple of exciting things in the last couple of weeks. One is that I thought people would be interested to know about is I went to visit Fernhill Farm. So like probably twice a year, I actually physically go to the farm. Fernhill, for those people that don't know, is Arctangent's site. So me and Ollie, Ollie's our production manager, and basically if something breaks, Ollie fixes it. Me and him went down there. We met Andy and Jen, the farmers at Fernhill Farm. And we kind of just it was, those of you that have been to Arctangent know that on occasion we have some rain. On occasion we have some wind.
On occasion.
And it's sometimes cold. Well, fucking hell, in mid-March or end of March, it was like really, quite remarkably bad weather. But it's cool. It's like, I don't know if people would be interested in what the sort of things the sort of problems you hit, but like I went down there and me and Andy, the farmer, drove around the festival site, and there's like piles of wood in places where I'm like, Andy, that pile of wood there, isn't that where our wristband exchange is going to go? And he's like, oh yeah, I'll get it moved. And then he's like, oh yeah, we're putting in a new hedge. And I'm like, all right, okay, where's the hedge going? And he's like, just here. And I'm like, right, well that's how all the bands get to the PX3 and the yokai stage. So it's like, these are both of my sites are working farms.
Yeah,
so they are like evolving. Hedges are moving, trees are being uprooted or planted. In fact, they're about to plant like 6,000 trees at Arctangent. So fuck knows what that actually means for us. But
the space is going to be there.
Yeah. So we had a good time there, and it was really nice to see the site. And just because we're not changing Arctangent massively this year, the festival site plan will be quite similar to last year, but just a few things we're tweaking and stuff. We went and looked at a couple of possible new campsites, and it gets you excited because I spend all my year on my computer, really. And then just standing in a field, albeit in the rain, just gets you like, yeah, I'm getting festival ready. The other thing I did of note is I was the promoter for Sun in Bristol. Fuck me. So, I mean, that is for those of you that have never seen Sun, you should go and see Sun. They will literally make your nose bleed. They'll make you be sick, or they'll make you pass out. The Manchester Sun show had 14 people passed out due to the I mean, it's just like a drone.
Yeah,
you've seen Sun a few times, I'm guessing.
I don't think so. I have seen Boris with the guy, is it Stephen O'Malley from Sun, doing a drone set at Roadburn, which I quickly left, but not because it's just, I mean, you can't say anything about Sun, because Sun fans, I mean, I'm a huge Tool fan, and people like to have a dig at Tool, and I can see the funny side of it. Do not slag off Sun. I mean, I made a joke on the forum about you going to see Sun, and I asked why, and you said because I'm promoting it, and in my head it's like, that's the only reason you would go to see Sun. And people were like, oh, well, fuck you, Gav, I hope your festival burns down. I'm only joking.
I mean, they're one of those bands that very few people sit at home listening to. I just can't.
It's an experience.
Yeah, it's a total experience. It is like a body experience. You are like, I watched it from various different parts of the venue, and I'm lucky because I was promoting the show. I can go to random parts of the venue, and just like the whole building's vibrating. I mean, it's like it's in your body. Sometimes you're almost like what you're looking at is like slightly like the whole world seems to be like twisting a bit. Yeah, it's fucking cool. I mean, I've talked to a bunch of people about whether Sun should play Arctangent, and like I think people are quite split on that. It's like I think it'd be cool, but it's not really 10 p.m. at a festival. I've had 8 pints and I'm trying to have some fun music.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely not. But I mean, if it's going to work somewhere, I mean, they get flagged up a lot of times. I mean, a lot of people still, I mean, down the years, even with Damnation with Sun, and I'm a bit like, I mean, I'll book a lot of stuff that's not up my street, but I'm the same. A bit like, it's a bit, I don't know, maybe just a wee bit. I would give it a go. I mean, I would go in and give it a go, but I mean, if it's anything like whatever that drone set was with Boris and the guy from Sun, it was like, right, come on. And
well, look, I mean, there's 2 of them. There's no drums. I mean, sometimes there's 4 of them, but there's still no drums. So it probably is quite similar to what you saw. And, you know, if that's going to be the final band on the Saturday night of Arctangent or the final band of Damnation, I mean, I don't know. It's tricky, isn't it? Because the sort of music we have, it's not always going to be uplifting. No. But, you know, Cradle of Filth will give it the beans to end. So will Mogwai. And like, that will be an ending. Do you know what I mean?
Even if you don't like Cradle of Filth, you're like, in the fog.
Yes, exactly.
I remember, this takes me back, man. Let's go. Maybe not get so much a vibe from Sun. Aye.
So before I ask you how your week went, I forgot to say earlier on that I had a phone call from a booking agent this week. Well, he actually texted me and said, can you ring me? I've been listening to your podcast. And I was like, I text you immediately saying this is going to be good. And I won't mention his name or what band it is, but he said to me, James, do you do ground transport and hotels for bands at 2000 Trees? And I'm like, and he's like, because you said on your podcast that you do. I was like, for fuck's sake. And he's like, can you do hotels and ground transport for Band X for next year? It's like,
oh man.
So basically that episode cost me money.
That is not good. That's not good.
It was like, so it kind of makes you think a bit more now.
No, and
the agents are listening.
Damnation doesn't, for next person, right? It does. I've never, no tills, no hotels, no ground transport.
Amazing. So what have you been up to, Gav?
No, so I've got 3 kids. So every day just blends into the next day of complete madness. But what I did do last night is I went to see Frail Body, who were absolutely fucking brilliant, and apparently know nothing about the UK or Brexit or Europe, because they had all their merch is still in France apparently because of import tax. They never had any of the plugs or adapters they needed for their instruments, so it was like a proper baptism of fire to the UK. But up in a place called G2, they get the attic at the garage. I don't know, maybe 100 cap room, maybe more 100, but it must have been 80 or 90 folk there. Fairly busy. They were brilliant. Took them a wee bit. First, they done I bought their new record, which I'm showing folk on YouTube. They played that in full, which at the start you're a bit like, this is the first time I got to see them. And the record that I knew most was the one that I'd recommended that track, Your Death Makes Me Wish Heaven Was Real. So I was really looking forward to seeing that. If they played it, but turned out they'd done the new record in full. And it took them a few tracks with just a bit of a wall of drums and bass to begin with. But ultimately, they got that figured out. And what a band. I am looking forward to seeing them on a bigger stage at Art Tangent and going at it again. Maybe might even throw myself off a stage. You never know. So
I'm not off the stage.
Not
You're
off the
allowed to
stage,
crowd
Gavin.
no
It
stage
stops at the stage, mate. Do not go to the...
Right, go to Outbreak if you're on a stage live. Did you see the support bands?
I saw Chalk Hands.
Yeah.
From Brighton, who were very good as well. Enjoyed them. I wasn't up early enough. I couldn't get out the house until my wife, who works, she's got a salon. She had to get back because we've got a daughter that's 5. So I thought it was a wee bit irresponsible just leaving my 5-year-old daughter in the house to go and catch the opening bands. So I heard it was a good gig throughout. So great. I mean, Real Body are. I'm really getting into that type of music at the moment anyway. But that's a decent crowd. I mean, 80, 90 folk to pull in a wet Wednesday night in Glasgow. So I'm looking forward to seeing their progress as a band and what sort of reaction they get at Art Tangent.
Yeah, they're playing in Bristol tomorrow night as we record, actually. So I'm going to try it and make that. And I've heard good things about both those. I think the other support band's called As Living Arrows or something like that. That's supposed to be good. So yeah.
Get yourself on, get yourself to see that. So that was fantastic. And right, okay. So where are we in the state of the union with the podcast? YouTube again keeps going the right direction. I think we're about 2,300 subscribers. So let's 1,300 subscribers. Keep that up, guys. I feel that with us chatting about this and asking folk to check out the pages and like and comment more, the traction today or the reaction seemed a lot better. There's been a couple of we'll put it recently, although there've been great downloads. There hasn't really been a whole lot of chat, which is quite disappointing. You got a few thousand folk listening to them. You're a bit like, it's good to chat. You know what I mean? Like, what did you think about it? What would you like next in it? So that was better today. So please keep that up. The Facebook page is going strong. Ratings are going strong. I mean, I assume that the fact that we've done so many downloads today means that word of mouth is also great, which we wouldn't be privy to. But folk are clearly telling their mates, going to the pub, saying, "Have you heard this podcast talking about band tools?" So keep that all up.
Yeah, and if you're in a band or you're a booking agent listening to this, and lots of people telling me they're enjoying it, please share it on your social media. Tell people about it. It makes a big difference to us. So yeah.
Also, you had a heart attack. You thought we dropped at the charts.
Oh mate, yeah. Well, not that I'm checking the Spotify charts every 3 hours, but yeah, I couldn't see us for a while, but we're still in the top 10. So yeah, and we're climbing again. I think we're at number 8.
We're back. We had a dip. We're number 8 today. 8 in the charts. So good. Let's keep. I know all this stuff might seem insignificant to a listener, and also I get it as well. I'm a podcast listener to a few podcasts, and I'm not interacting with them. I mean, the MMA or Pizza Carol's a crack. I'm not going to send the name messages and finding what their socials are to say how great it is. So I understand some people, their support is the fact they just listen in. So great. But if you can manage to knock 5 stars into the Spotify or Apple or leave a review or whatever it is, it just helps. And it's good when you're doing this. It is good to get that kind of reaction. I was going to do a more professional Lose Brews sort of ad read for this week. So I went and I checked out his site and I realised he's got a sauce called Saltburn Bathwater, and he had another one that was going a veganese called It's Cum, and he's got one on there that's called Anal Vomit Nuclear Sauce. I'm like, this man does not deserve professional ad reads. that is not his bag. That is not on brand for him. So if you're selling Saltburn Bathwater barbecue sauce, right, and if you've ever seen Saltburn, you'll get that reference with a guy licking the bottom of the bath after another guy sort of tugging it. He's not He's not looking for professional advice. He just wants you to know that he's off his fucking head and he makes cracking sauces. So visit his site. What code should they use, James? Come on, help me out.
I'd go pod 15 if I was
Pod
thinking
15% off. And he's a fucking character. I'm glad he's a guy. You know what I mean? Because this is it's a fun we add to each week. The fact you just learn more about this fucking maniac's business.
Yeah, he hasn't bollocked us yet, has he? So I guess he likes our kind of random ads that we do.
Aye. And again, if you could, I've seen orders come in for Damnation clothing. I haven't done a great deal of marketing in Damnation clothing other on this podcast, so I assume it's from listeners. Appreciate that greatly. DamnationClothing.com. Please go and check it out. James, hit us up with some questions.
Amazing. Well, we actually don't know who asked this question, so we're going to say a massive apology to the person. But they were saying, if you were question for James and Gav, if you were going to book a stage at the other person's festival, who would you book? And we thought, fucking hell, that is a great question. I can definitely do better than he can. So Gav, over to you. What which stage and which festival are you going to book?
I don't know how much thought you put in this, but I put in too much thought. That is the answer.
Yeah. I've got 2 pages of notes, mate.
Far too much thought. So I thought, fuck it. If I'm doing it and I'm getting a stage out of tangent, I'm doing the main stage. I'm going big guns.
Lovely.
So the main stage out of tangent, we kind of set ourselves a challenge on no bands that I've ever played before. Now, if you think about trying to do an art tangent stage and you're not allowed Amon-Ra, Cult Owner, Alcest, Mono, fucking any of the huge explosions in the sky, Mogwai this year, Godspeed You Black Emperor, it starts to whittle down. You're like, right, okay, right, fuck it, I can still manage this. And if I'm going to do it, you're going to have to know that it had some sort of Damnation flavour. There's no point doing it and saying, oh, that could have also been James. So I'll go from the bottom up, and I hope you agree this is and would be the best ever art tangent stage put together. First up, opening, the Moth Gatherer. Swedish post-metal band, maybe, if we're going to any criticism for them, they're very similar to Cult Luna at parts, but I mean, is that an insult? I mean, absolutely fantastic, huge big riffs, a lot of melody in there too. If you like Cult Luna, there's no way you wouldn't like the Moth Gatherer. Great start to the day. Followed by, you give me a pick.
Well, I was only going to say the only reason I haven't booked them is because I am waiting for a new album from them. The last album they released was 5 years ago, I think.
Yeah.
So that'll happen, I reckon, if they're still a band, that is.
Aye. I mean, likewise, I think it was one of those ones. It was a few years ago. I thought we kind of had that almost in the bag to come and play Damnation, and it might have been I might have been just before the pandemic, and then it just sort of disappeared from my radar. Yeah. And then it really made me think about bands I love in this scene that haven't already done Art Tangent that turned me back onto them. So that would be a cracking open.
I mean, I don't want to criticize your curation, but I just to be clear, you've booked a post-metal band that sounds like Cult of Luna to open an 11 a.m. slot on a 10,000 capacity stage.
Perfect. But no, because James, when I'm curating this stage, 10,000 people are going to be there, mate. This isn't your ragtag bag. You see people with a wee coffee and a ham sandwich at Art Tangent. We're going serious this year. Followed by Shells, the once UK, now based in America. Absolute god tier post-rock. Shells music, they were formerly the band, or the guy was formerly, but is it Manu Modo, who folk might recognise, played Damnation in 2009, and I think done a UK tour maybe about that time, and then went back to the States. As far as I'm aware, haven't broke up, they've just never been back.
I've asked him, every year for the first few years of Arctangent, I used to send them an email, and the main guy, whose name I forget. Yeah. He used to get back to me. I mean, their last album was in 2011, so I just eventually gave up.
Aye. But I mean,
great shout, Gav. Great shout.
That is a great. Also, this is not like.
I'm just going to defend.
Tick, Gav, brilliant tick. And you're like, I'll book your third stage for Damnation, Gav. There, a bunch of random local bands. Great start. Now, then I was going to go a bit darker, and I was originally down for Gear. Recommended them this one. I thought that's a good shout, but I think Celeste is an even better shout. Am I right in thinking Celeste haven't played?
No, they haven't. Their agent would definitely agree with you.
But I mean, like, that is. And I get there's two bands on this when I'm putting this together that you definitely wouldn't book. I still feel would go down very well at Arctangent. But there's two bands here, but this is one I feel like absolutely suits, because not only is it that blackened, sludgy, progressive that suits well at Arctangent, but they do have the oddity of only using the red lights as well. That gives them quite a theatrical stage show, which works well at Arctangent, and the sort of left field ethos at Arctangent. So they'd be great, and they're not. They're not like black and sludgy. There's some bands that are just too straight on the nose for Arctangent. Yeah. I mean, it just makes them unsuitable for these guys. I feel that there's just enough quirkiness about them that they would go down pretty well. So I take it you've been offered a few times, or just like
yeah, offered many years. And I'm not entirely sure why I haven't. I did ask you how much you paid for them a few years back. I don't know why it's not happened. I'm sure it will at some point. Sometimes I need a new album by a band to trigger my excitement for the band again. And then, I mean, black metal is, I will 100% book black metal, and there are a few this year, but they're not straight on the nose, as you said, but they're not like mega weird, are they, either? So it's like, I don't know. Yeah.
Weirdly enough, it sounds like, considering how much I've kind of got into your taste in music recently, they sound like a band to be right up your street, because they're just, is that sort of overpowering sludge? I mean, it is that black metal industrial side as well, but it is that sort of, like, you seem to like your music to absolutely coat you in tar, and that they do have that vibe about them. It's they would definitely be great. This is the first of the two bands you wouldn't book. Pig Destroyer. Now, the reason I think Pig Destroyer, well, firstly, you need to get something that stage said, oh, it was curated differently from just James doing it. That's the first reason for Pig Destroyer. Secondly, they do have, there's just enough quirkiness about them. Again, they're not an on-the-nose grindcore band. There's enough electronics, there's enough samples, there's enough just madcap shit that the Arctangent crowd could latch onto, and ultimately they're not that much heavier than a lot of the bands. If you've got a Frail Body or a Converge or whatever, they're not a million miles away from that crowd anyway. So Pig Destroyer would be my first sort of,
I think it's a great shout,
odd booking to get them. Followed by then changing the pace, We Lost the Sea. We already know, absolutely class, would be an ideal booking, and will be an ideal booking for 2000 Arctangent some point down the line. And then into my second sort of left field Damnation, Anaal, Nathrakh. Again, just enough of the samples, the sort of electronics that, like, they're not industrial enough to be Godflesh, no black metal enough to be. I mean, I would never say, oh, let's go book Marduk or Dark Funeral or one of these Cops Painting Spikes black metal bands, but Nathrakh have just got enough of that sitting on the edge of so many genres that it's another one you'd be like, never expected that Arctangent, but weirdly it does fit.
I mean, I think that, sorry, I keep interrupting you, don't I?
No, go bash on.
I actually this year considered talking to Napalm Death, which kind of fits with those two bands you've just mentioned. Like Napalm Death is somewhere in the same realm as Pig Destroyer, and it feels like, because they're so like left not left wing, but left field as musically, that they kind of work. And I've never thought of Pig Destroyer, and that, I think that's a really interesting one. And so is Anaal, Nathrakh. I mean, that's fucking, I saw them at Temples, and it's one of the heaviest things I've ever fucking seen. So yeah, good shout. Two good shouts.
Into Envy. Am I right in thinking you've never had Envy? I mean, that's an obvious, just hasn't happened because the schedules haven't worked out yet for either of the festivals. But Envy, post-rock gods, post-metal gods, whatever you want to call them, it's fantastic. And the reason, there's 8 slots on these, so I picked 8 bands. And by the time you've got to Envy, I don't know your exact budget, but I've got an idea of how things are. I'd have thought by the time that I've got to your main support slot and it's Envy, I've shaved maybe 30 grand off what you might have paid to get all those bands to that point. Now, you would need to save that 30 grand on the first day, the 30 grand the day after, the 30 grand the day after that, and still go well beyond your budget to get the headliner that I feel would be absolutely perfect for this day, which is Deftones.
Amazing.
You never left me. You never left me with many headliners I could work with, and for me just to say like Mastodon because it could be possible, but I'm not a huge Mastodon fan, and it's a bit like I feel like that's a run of my dream bands, and then I would just chuck Mastodon on there for the sake of it. But so I thought, like, let's dream big. I've saved tens of thousands across the weekend. We can plough it towards Deftones. Let's get Deftones.
I mean, it's the ultimate, isn't it? Is that the new? Maybe they're the new Mogwai. That's the new ultimate that I'll just talk about in every interview. It's a great, mate. I think you've done a brilliant job there. It's a very eclectic lineup of bands that have never played before.
Thank you.
Good
Thank
shout.
you. Yeah, you know what? You give me a call anytime, pal.
I could tell you put the work in. I mean, look, in the future, when someone like We Lost the Sea rock up, you don't get to claim that you told me to book them. But if Pig Destroyer come up, then fucking yeah, that's on you. And to be honest, I am open to Arctangent, as I've said before on this podcast, going off in some different directions, not straying away from what it is, but you can have a Pig Destroyer on this year's lineup, and you can either watch it or just watch someone on the other stage if you don't want
to. Yeah, good. Let us know in the comments, guys. Let us know on the Facebook page what your thoughts on it. And because I get trashed publicly, privately, from everyone, even my daughters and my wife are booing me for my 2000 Trees suggestions of the ratings in the streets. So I need a win here, guys. I need a win.
Amazing. Right, do you want to hear my donation? So I've gone.
Where are you going? Which stage are you going with?
Third stage. Damnation.
You're going with the third stage. So you get it. You understand the way that it's built. That our third stages are left field, sort of low and slow, sludgy, doom, and then you get the extreme stage, and then the main stage is just the big ones. You understand that?
Yeah, but you've given me a stage this year, so I'm going to go left field, but I'm not going to be bound by certain genres. I'm going to do whatever the fuck I want on this stage.
Okay.
And as far as I'm concerned, all of these bands fit Damnation brilliantly. None of them have. I've tried really hard not to book to suggest any Arctangent bands. So I wanted to give an honourable mention for Abraham and Hex Vessel because I wanted them. I think you should book them, but I didn't want to have any Arctangent bands. Also, I wanted another honourable mention: Zeal Ardor, Carpenter Brute, and Brutus.
All for
the main stage. Would be amazing on bigger stages at Damnation. Just wonderful bands. So, okay, starting from the bottom upwards, I'm going to start with Grief Symposium.
Okay.
So, they released a really great record in the last year. I think if you're looking to compare them to someone, I think Conjurer is a pretty good shout. They describe themselves as Doom Death, but I think it's got way more like adrenaline than that makes it sound. It's proper like fucking go for it in your face. I think the record came out on Church Road. It's really great. They'd fucking blow your face off as an opener. So Grief Symposium. They
did. They were almost booked for last year's Church Road record stage. They just were just short of slots. They were a great shout, and it was one of those ones where are you not going to go with Celestial Sanctuary, who I've got the sort of fan base to go with Grief Symposium. So great shout. Great start.
Okay. So this next one is left field, and like I'd never heard of this band until last year when their album came out, and I don't know if I read a review or what. They're called Moontooth, and it is mad, a mad collection of influences. So it's basically like early 90s rock, but the stuff that still kind of sounded like the 80s. So it's a bit 80s rock, but they mix it with like Mastodon, Faith No More. So if you can imagine John Bon Jovi and Mastodon and Faith No More forming a band together, it would sound like Moontooth. It's fucking weird. Really weird, really catchy, and stupidly over the top. That's my wild card out of all of these. People at Damnation will probably be like, "What the fuck have you done here?"
James, get James off that stage now.
Yeah. Next one. Do you know how many times over the last few years, I've wanted to text you saying book Earton? So there's a band. Do you know them? No. IOTUNN, all in capitals. They are. So it's not often I get into a band where I'm like, there's no way I can book them for Trees or Arctangent. And this feels like my mate Al keeps saying to me, fucking, why haven't you booked Earton for Arctangent?
Where are they from?
They're I don't know, a European band. And it is over the top, progressive, extreme metal. So it's extreme, but it's got proper fucking, like, proper choruses, proper fucking cheesy fists on the, foot on the monitor fucking choruses. They did this album called Access All Worlds a few years ago, and it is wildly amazing. So I actually think you should book them, but I know you're not into it. It might be a bit cheesy. Have a listen.
We're gonna, I need to sell some tickets, don't you, as well? We're gonna, these names,
Mate,
bigger names better be coming.
They're coming. They are coming. Right. They're not, actually. I'm a liar. Next one, Spectral Voice.
Shout.
I mean, their album they've just released is fucking brilliant. It's bleak. It's cavernous. Again, that's Death Doom. Fuck, I booked 2 Death Doom bands in the first 4 by mistake. But Spectral Voice, shoe-in. I mean, I will book them at Arctangent next year if I can. Next one is Horrendous. I actually asked you earlier this year because I was trying to book Horrendous for Arctangent. In fact, the next 3 bands, to let the cat out of the bag, I tried to book for Arctangent this year. None of them I could get. And they all would work better on Damnation than Arctangent.
So I feel like I know the name Horrendous, but I don't know.
So Horrendous is like old school. Right, you might not like this description, but my description is: imagine early Iron Maiden played by a death metal band. It's death metal, right? But it's fucking fun. But not fun in like like fun death metal. It's not that at all.
Yeah.
It's like it's muso death metal, but it's something fucking fun about it. So Horrendous, again, their last album's amazing. Okay, 3 more left. The next one's Dodd Heimsgard. Do you know them?
Yeah.
They're like it's like a black metal Pink Floyd with electronic bits and 70s prog, and they are out there. So I wanted them at Arctangent to headline PX3 and clash with Mogwai. I was like, I just want to book something fucking ridiculous to clash with Mogwai, but I couldn't get them. Last 2 Mould. 2 Mould have become they're like the hipsters extreme metal band, aren't they? It's like Pitchfork. They're like the Pitchfork extreme metal band. I think they sound like Megadeth does death metal. So if my brother's listening, which I know he is, he should go and listen to 2 Mould because they sound like Megadeth, but way heavier.
Yeah, that would be an absolute peachy booking 2 Mould for Damnation in any essence, never mind for a stage I put together. So who's this headliner?
So the headliner is Spirit Adrift, and because I wanted to go for a big fucking happy ending. Spirit Adrift, their album last year was in my top 10. They fucking love heavy metal. Proper heavy metal with fucking studded wristbands, and they write banger after banger after banger.
Right, let me talk to you, James, okay? That's a decent lineup, okay? But you're messing with everything. Absolutely everything. Hey, firstly, you're telling me Spectral Voice are definitely going to play under Horrendous. The agent's accepting that.
I actually thought the order of this was basically, apart from the headliner, I kind of did it in who I thought I wanted, in how I wanted it to play. It's my fucking stage, so I'm going to put it in the order I want it to be.
Also, what am I doing with the second arena? The second arena is all death metal and black metal. What am I doing with that now? Because you've just clashed at all with the third arena.
Yeah, well, you'd be saying to everyone, we're keeping it a bit different this year because James is a bit different. I reckon, honestly, I'm telling you, there are some absolute beasts in there.
Oh man, I know. I feel that you gave me the cheek about putting a Cult of Luna sounding band to open your stage, and you're just throwing black metal and death metal at my third stage, and the second arena is sitting there with black metal with death metal on it, and now I'm buried in complaints because I've let you go wild.
No, but there's a one palate cleanser, which is Moontooth, and there is 2 absolutely anthemic, cheesy as fuck bands, Spirit Adrift and Earton. It's like it's a real nice mix of extreme metal.
My pal Andy Catigan, he's an avid listener of the podcast, and he finally got to on the record today, and he's got quite a wide, very taste. He just WhatsApp me, goes, James's taste in music is fucking bananas.
Amazing. I'll take that as a compliment.
So, I mean, plenty of good shouts in there. The ordering, I would definitely need to separate your stage and make it across other stages. But all those bands, fuck Moontooth, we're gonna have to do a VAR check on Moontooth. But Spirit Adrift were due to actually play Damnation maybe last year, the year before. They were opening band on one of the packages we booked, and for whatever reason they came off that that package and it wasn't to happen. So may have been the destruction package I think they were due to be open for. So lots of and I see the vinyl behind you as well. So Spirit Adrift, the headline, our third stage. Oh man, that was God, I don't listen. You need to let us know how that went and panned out for you, because that was
that was like the part of the podcast where we properly let our sort of inner music geek out. It's like we both took that seriously. I'm like, I don't care.
Far too seriously. Guys, probably, what would you book for each other's festival? Like, challenge accepted. Right, let's do, we'll do a wee quick fire one then. And then, because we probably did take that a bit longer, but do a quick fire one for Damien Morris. And then we'll get into our episode. So here's 4 questions, nice and sharp for Damien Morris, who's a moderator on the Damnation forum and an all-round nice guy. Which bands have you booked that have been the most pleasant surprise for you, and why, James?
You go first, Gav.
Well, I'll just keep going back to the answer I always say, Bolt Thrower. And the reason it was such a pleasant surprise, because we deal with lots of bands that are absolute gems. I mean, they show up and they're having the time of their life and they say thank you at the way in, they say thank you at the way out. But there tend to be bands that are playing Damnation or Art Tangent or Trees as an opportunity for them. When Bolt Thrower played Damnation, it was an opportunity for Damnation. I mean, they weren't getting anything out of it other than another show. So when they showed up and acted as if they were a band that was going to get paid 150 quid and get a case of Carlsberg for the first time, it was refreshing. It was just great. Pleasure to work with from start to finish. And it's surprising because of the headliner. And even when you get nice headliners, they don't tend to be that grateful and just the way they were. I mean, everything about them, they would if you told them they had to use the support band's drum kit that day, they would probably say, if that's what you need to happen, we'd do it. And it was refreshing to work with. So I enjoyed that a lot.
Amazing. Yeah, I mean, mostly bands are super nice, I think. I would choose I think Opeth were really lovely because there was a couple of big fuck ups in the background on the Opeth day, and where we actually lost some of their backline, and we properly lost the drum kit or some of the drum kit, and it was very stressful.
See, when we do the Q&A, because that has been a separately asked question about our set list and the fact that it was thing there, it'd be good to get into that.
Okay, well, is that? Do you want me to answer it now, or
no? When we do the Q&A, so we'll record one next week. But I'll keep a note for so you can really get into what happened because I know the backstory and it's very interesting. And fair play to you guys and fair play to OPEF. So it's a good story to talk about when shit hits the fan. How you really need people to pull through for you.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Let's talk about that. But they were lovely. I mean, because they're one of my gateway bands into progressive music, and basically they spent most of the day posting photos on social media of the massive balls on the pig at the farm, and the balls are the biggest balls you've ever seen in your life. But Michael Ackerfeld talked about it on stage. He posted photos of it on the OPEF social media.
The man loves his balls. So OPEF and Bolt Thrower. Next one, are there bands you've booked that you will never be back at your festivals no matter what? Now, I'll go first then.
Yep.
Not no matter what, but I didn't particularly enjoy working with Mayhem. I felt that our crew was pretty rude. I felt the band were pretty rude to our crew, and it was a bit needless. And I think you get that sometimes. I get it. Everybody's got a bit of persona, and it's a black metal, and I fucking hate the world. But ultimately, backstage, you can be decent. You know what I mean? And I just felt that they put. I mean, Batushka's not. I didn't deal with Batushka, but our crew would tell you Batushka's a band that will never be welcome back. And if they do get booked for Damnation, the crew won't show up. So hey, I didn't personally experience that. The crew did, but Mayhem was the one for me. I just felt they made a rather tough day in 2019 behind the scenes, needlessly tougher, and it's not nice to have to work with folk like that. At the end of the day, we're all trying to put on the best show for them as well. So Mayhem's the one that I didn't enjoy working with.
I mean, I have blacklisted bands in the past that I have then booked. There is a band that, I mean, I just cannot name this band, but that have played Arc Tangent 2 or 3 times. And after they played the first time, I was like, I'm never fucking booking them again. Because they were horrible. They're actually fine on site, but throughout the advancing process, which is the bit that happens before you get to the festival, the way they dealt with our team was not nice. And eventually I ended up thinking, I'm cutting off my nose to spite my face here. They're a popular band. it'll be fine. I'm going to fucking book them again. There is one from year one at Arctangent that have never come back. You know who this is, Gav, they know who they fucking are if they're listening, which we won't mention. We won't mention their name. I haven't blacklisted them, but fuck me. The shit I had to deal with.
Fans can be tough. James,
what
year has been your favourite?
Trying to get me to start talking.
Next question. What year's been your favourite?
I keep talking about Arctangent, so I'll talk about 2000 Trees. My favourite 2000 Trees is either the first one or, do you know, I'm basically going to go for last year, and not because of bands. We're always talking about bands. The festival that we've nailed the most in terms of the organisation was last year's 2000 Trees. And the previous year, we'd had a few grumbles about not massive things, minor things where people are like, you know, there's not enough toilets here, or the car park was slow here, or the VIP bar was too small, whatever. And we put loads of effort last year into like nailing all that. And everyone was just like smiley, happy. The social media feedback was cool. And you could feel that vibe during the festival. The vibe at 2000 Trees last year was amazing. And I think is the reason our ticket sales are so good this year.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to getting down for this couple of days at Trees, because it is the word vibe. And you know what? Like, you're not a cheesy guy. Your brother's not a cheesy guy. The people are doing your market, but it seems to be. There's a big family feel about 2000 Trees, even more than Arctangent, and people going for the experience. And to be fair, I was there, even at your worst. Was it the 2011 year? The year
2012, yeah.
The one just everything get flooded away. And to be fair, for the fact that your fan base showed back up for the following years, a minor miracle, because that was pretty desperate. So I'm looking forward to getting and seeing it at the size it is now. It's going to be a great weekend.
Yeah, it's going to be good.
My favourite, actually, I never said one. I've always said 2009, the one that, even though my favourite lineup for it was when you had your Electric Wizard and Life Agony and Therapy, and This Will Destroy You, and so I watched it from afar, and so many great bands. And even though people are showed up, I was like, "Oh, this is such a good lineup." But now, when I think that 2022, that first year in Manchester, those historic sets that I mentioned in the last podcast, the fact that so many things when you're doing your teething pros could go wrong, and ultimately didn't, aside from the lack of seating, a few food vendors, it was pretty special. I remember sitting there like watching Converge doing Jane Doe, like, fuck me, man. I mean, you've always got a wee bit of imposter syndrome, because you're always looking at like Glastonbury at a download or whatever, like, oh, I could never do that. But it was first time I kind of looked across and watching 6,000 people at an event that you made happen. Like, shit, this really feels like the big leagues. When you're in an arena, it feels like the big leagues. You know what I mean? When you get a fucking stage that size. And our main stage, to all intents and purposes, looks like the main stage at a Bloodstock or an Arctangent, whatever. It's a proper ass main stage, and that was great. That is 2022 is now, I would say, is my favourite. How close have either of you come to quitting the business for good? Nice cheery one there, Damien. Thank you.
Me never. I very rarely talk about this. My background, I used to be an accountant. So I graduated with an economics degree from uni, and I became accountant because I couldn't think of anything else to do. And I did that for 10 years, and 2000 Trees overlapped with that. So I basically started getting out gradually. And when I finished accountancy, when I quit, like, my dad said to me, "What's your backup plan?" And I was basically like, "There is no backup plan." And I let you have to be a member of like the institute or whatever. I let that lapse. I was basically like trying to torch the bridge behind me.
Yeah. On the boats.
As I left, I'm not fucking coming back. There is no backup plan. So this is my life now. If something terrible happened with the festivals, I would do something in music, promoting or tour managing or band management. And like, I'm definitely have no plans to leave this industry. I could earn more money somewhere else, but there's no way I could like my job as much as I do in another industry. So I think my football career is probably never going to come to fruition at this stage. So,
or any stage, James. Be honest with yourself, or at any stage.
Mate, you haven't seen me. So I'm here for good.
I'm not in the same. I mean, I left a job that I loved to do a job that I love more. You know what I mean? It's like, I always wanted to be a journalist, and when I got the job, I did love it right up to the end. So it's that wouldn't be horrific for me to have to go back to. But if I was to give this up for good, it's because I was forced out and the money just wasn't there. I mean, I can't continue to put on shows and not make money. I mean, I need to make a salary from this. I mean, a quick aside, because this answers like the guy's question, the guy for Strangers with Guns. And he'd quite last, he said, when Gav says he made no money in Damnation last year, does that mean he didn't make any money at all and lived in savings? Or I had myself a nice chunky salary and I'm saying it didn't make any profit in the top of, you get these not-for-profit charities, but the chief executive makes 100 grand a year. They said, I don't know, but we didn't make any profit. No, I didn't know there was no money. No money, there was no salary. There was not, and I lived on the money that I had, savings, I suppose. My wife, as I said earlier, owns a salon as well. Fortunately for me, she's pretty successful at what she does. Not in the sense that we could just continue doing that forever and I could just keep it on flop festivals, but there was no, it's not like I paid myself 50 grand and then came out on our side and said, oh, we never made 51,000. So to answer your question there, Jeff, I believe the guy's name is no, I made it through, and that's why I'm saying, because I'd happily do Damnation just for a salary. Like, you're saying, like, there's 30 grand, Gav, just go and organise Damnation Press days and you're guaranteed your 30 grand. I'm like, what a lovely job. What a lovely job. I'll take that happily, but no, that's not what happened.
And in reality, when you're an independent business, there is no pot of money unless you make the money, is there? So you can't, the reality is, if you're not making money, where's it going to come from?
2022 done great. 2023 didn't do great, but 2022 kept it, and the previous history of Damnation kept it afloat and kept it alive. So that's why I'm saying, look, right, okay, we can swallow a bad year after having a good year, but you can't just continue to keep doing that. It's no business is sustainable.
Absolutely. Shall I ask you a question? Go on.
I feel like you should, because you've got a couple of questions. I'm always just, I feel like I'm always too conscious of the time, and we really went into that stage lineup. But go, no.
We can do one if you want.
Go for one then.
Ben Foden says, I wonder how you deal with technical issues throughout any given day. Clearly, some amount of sound checking can be done, but maybe not as much as everyone would always want. And he says specifically, last year at ATG, there were some quite big issues during Death Heaven's Sunbather, but the band powered through nonetheless. What are the worst tech issues you had to deal with, and how did you deal with them? So
I feel like, do you want to explain this Sunbather? Because that's obviously a big topic for people who went in that tangent. I was there also, so I'd love to hear the story about what went down there.
Yeah, so I mean, basically what happened with Death Heaven is they had I'm sighing because it was horrible. So basically, I went up on the front of house platform, which is where the sound man and the lighting people are, to watch at the start of Death Heaven set, because I was like, fuck me, I've booked Sunbather, isn't this fucking great? I'm so excited. So I was there before it started, and the crew were all around me doing their sound and lighting, and there's a video guy doing the video, and basically I get right from the start of the set, you could see there were some issues. And it turns out there was a problem with the cable. So there were two problems with Death Heaven. One was the cable with the video. And that looked like some 12-year-old had turned up with a broken computer to try and do it. It just looked really fucking amateurish. So I'm stood there watching him like waggle a cable to try and get it to work. And at the same time, they had really fucked up how their technical stuff sort of patches into our system. So the sound was also terrible. So there was this bit where the singer is singing for ages and we can't hear him in the crowd, but he can obviously hear himself. So I guess he's got in-ear monitors.
Yeah.
He can hear himself. We can't hear him. It's like, it was just horrible. And I stood there for about 15 minutes. And eventually I was like, right, I'm going to go backstage. Even in the knowledge that I can't fix this because I'm not a techie guy. And me just going to someone, are you going to fix this? Isn't really going to help.
Yeah.
But all of that those technical issues were not really Arctangent's fault, if I'm honest. But I don't want to have a go at the band. It was just one of those things that happens, that what they turned up with was not what we were expecting, and it just didn't work. But once you're in the hell, there's no way out. And what made it worse is that they were playing the fucking album in full, weren't they? To to a bespoke video track. It's like, could this happen at a worse fucking time?
Oh, it was bad.
Sometimes you've got to sometimes you just got to go to the bar. I was just like, I am leaving this. I do not want to be fucking involved.
It's amazing because that was a similar situation with myself and the Mayhem, and it was a cable again. But I mean, I've told this story a billion times to anybody listening to Damnation Versus. They had the same sound desk as we hired in, and they wanted to use their sound desk, so they rolled in a sound desk with their cabling, and the sound desk had worked the entire day. Suddenly wasn't working. It wasn't until the cables were changed over that the vocals came back in, and for the first, I don't know, 3-4 songs of their set, there was almost no vocals, or it was coming in, it was all patchy. And I done the same. I was just like, there is nothing I can do other than insert myself into a situation where I can't help at all and just stomp about and be like, fix this, like some fucking tit. Then there is nothing I can do with this situation. So I just went, you know what, take this one on the chin. This is definitely going to be 6 months of complaints about how shit Damnation is. And the people came and spent money for their favourite band that day. And they didn't get to hear. I mean, apparently the second half of the set was absolutely fine once they changed the cable. So,
Yeah.
aye, but it's one of those ones, once you're in that hell, you are in it, and you're just sitting there wishing that the ground would open up and swallow you, because there's not a great deal you can do as the guy sitting in our position to help any of it, because you don't even understand it. You don't even understand what's going on or why he's doing that.
And like, if you're talking about a loose wire somewhere, you're in trouble, aren't you? It's just like you've got to find it. I mean, what Ben says, his actual question before we talked about Death Heaven was clearly a certain amount of sound checking can be done, but how do you deal with it on any given day? I mean, my thing is, only really the headliner on the main stage is probably the only person that gets a sound check, maybe the second from top. Everyone else just gets what you would call a line check, which is they can make a little bit of noise before they start. So you are going to have more technical gremlins at a festival than you get at a gig. And often the sound will get better during a band's set at a festival because everyone's fucking still working it all out. It's very on the fly festivals, and you see that at big festivals, not just small ones, and you have to suck it up. But my thing is, we'll talk about Clash Finders in the future, but I am all about the Clash Finder, and there was never a time when I was going to say, okay, Death Heaven, you can play another half an hour late because that all fucked up. It's just not happening because it ruins the whole of the day. You've just got to, basically, band sets get cut short if they have technical problems. Doesn't matter whose fault it is. Unless it's the headline, I'm not overrunning.
Yeah. I mean, it has its own knock-on effects to all. So, aye, right, okay. Are we done with the misery? I thought we said we're having zero misery for the next few episodes. And we're getting into it.
Let's go happy. Let's go happy.
Headliners for the future. Now, this, thankfully, for Brady, Depros, is it Depros? Your man from Conjurer and an all-round good guy who is tour managing at the minute, I think, as well. He's kind of getting himself properly into the scene, but he's a good egg. And he asked a question that will just lead us on to the topic of this podcast, Futures of the Headliners in the Future, which is, who do you think will be the next generation of headliners in the more underground scene, a la Bring Me Horizon and Architects at Download? So, do you want to lead the way? Who do we see? And by when we mean this, we don't mean, what bands you want to book? Because you just go, like, Clutch, fucking, like, Behemoth, Emperor. I mean, we've done all that. Like, who do we see becoming what Idols was to 2000 Trees? So who do we see now that maybe in 5 years' time could headline our festivals?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's easier to talk about 2000 Trees than it is at Arctangent. We have a clear history of it, of Idols doing it. And there's one that we don't talk about often, but Turnstile first played 2000 Trees in 2018 and then headlined it in 2022. But bands like Nothing But Thieves and Soft Play, these bands, as I've talked about before, have come through the lineup. So I think it's worth probably thinking about what is it that makes you do that. So it's not like is it only the best bands that can make it to that? It's not really about who's the best. You do need to be great. All those bands I just listed are great, but there needs to be something else about you. Like there's something which means that you are going to be able to, on your own, sell out Alexandra Palace in London to like 12,000 people. And that's a level of like sort of commerciality.
Yeah.
You need hits, right? You need some hits. So my first one, the band that write the best fucking hits, and why aren't more people listening, is Creeper. I'm going to go on about Creeper until people start.
But even I'm going to start listening to Creeper at this point.
You should listen to Creeper.
I will. Fuck it, I will.
That last album is full of fucking solid gold bangers. And so is the previous album. They're great. They get better and better. So I think Creeper should one day headline 2000 Trees. We've talked about Bob Vylan before. I think if Bob Vylan write one hit album, they will be bigger than 2000 Trees. I feel like they will go to 2000 Trees headliner status, but I'm wondering if they could go past that. They could surpass that.
And we say bigger in context. Are Sleep Token now too big for 2000 Trees? Like if you can sell all those, because you book arena bands, don't you? I mean, Idols are an arena band, and you book those. Are Sleep Token too big now, or is that the cusp of where you operate?
Well, I mean, there's big and there's big, isn't there? But no one sells out the O2 Arena in a day. I mean, like that's like fucking Metallica or Madonna. Like Sleep Token are a remarkable story, which I don't think I've even remotely got my head around. I think I paid them like $1,000 at Arctangent in I don't know what year it was, just before COVID, I think, not that long ago.
Yeah.
And now they're like fucking, they're basically, they'll be headlining
Download.
They'll be headlining Download or Reading, yeah. They probably are technically too big for 2000 Trees. I feel like there's probably a year where that could work out. Maybe if they're not quite ready, let's say Download weren't quite ready for them one year, they might come and do some less massive festivals. But yeah, it's wild.
Well, to even think like that, isn't it? Even to think like actually about like Sleep. I mean, they played Radar last year, so they played Radar and Burn It Down or Takedown Festival, and like, and fair play to Sleep Token to sticking on those shows, even when they went to the stratosphere. But you're a bit like already 15,000 cap festival, like a Sleep Token too big, and you're like probably. You know what I mean, mad.
Yeah, and that also. Some bands like them have massive production requirements, which cost you a lot of money. So it's not just the fee on Sleep Token. It's like, how are you going to give them the stage show that they want? With the headlines like a Download obviously can do. There's a few sort of commercial rock bands in the UK that I wanted to give a shout out to, which is Dinosaur Pile Up, Holding Absence, and Boston Manor. They've both played Arctangent. They both played 2000 Trees a number of times over the years. They've all got bigger and bigger and bigger as they've gone, and they're all on. They feel like they're all on the cusp. They've all started to have main stage slots at the festival, and I can see them going. Particularly Dinosaur Pile Up. I mean, their last album is basically it's like the best Foo Fighters album that anyone's written since 1997. I mean, it's fucking better than all the recent Foo Fighters albums. They're a really great band. So I think they could do the business. Do you want to talk about Damnation before I go on about ATG?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think okay, fuck it, because I think that's where things get slightly more patchy for those festivals, because we go into a different realm, don't we? We go into like even the success stories from those scenes, the Bring Me Horizons, the Architects, the Sleep Tokens now, will never real Damnation bands anyway. So you need to look at it through a different lens. We've got the reason why I thought it was important to talk about this is because we get a situation where, in a British sense anyway, our headliners, your Carcass, Electric Wizard, Napalm Death done it once, and then the band sort of just below that level, your Paradise Lost, My Dying Bride, Orange Goblin, now probably Anaal Nathrakh as well. I mean, they're doing decent ticket sales. They're all 20, 30 years into their careers, and as exciting as it is to book those bands and as amazing they are, you're a bit like, where's the next ones? Where's the next? What's the next Electric Wizard or Carcass? I mean, why are they not coming through? And then you see there's a lot of great bands that we have in the UK that we've booked for all our festivals. Yeah, like a Conjurer, Employed to Serve, Bosks, Svalbards. They're all great and all do you a great main stage set, but that jump, especially now, I mean, beforehand with Damnation, those bands weren't ready to do a jump to the 3,000 capacity headline. Damnation is never mind now the 6,000 capacity headline. So you're a bit like, that's disheartening because you're a bit like, right, okay, that next level of bands all coming through aren't getting the backing, or for whatever people just aren't switched on to them the same way that people have finally got with Carcass or Electric Wizard or even your My Dying Brides and Paradise Lost, etc. So what is there? And I think the best example, my hope, is Greenlung. I think that they're the band who are just, again, they've got that thing that they're commercial enough because they sound like Ghost. You know what I mean? You stick them on and you have fucking grandparents in the room who would definitely shout at you as Svalbard played, saying, "Oh," just like nod their head along. You know, it's like they're just huge, big, catchy tunes, but just with enough essence about it. They don't feel poppy. They don't, for whatever reason. I don't know how some bands can pull off some. But Greenlung are one of those bands, and for a start, just everything about them just it clicked into place. We had them in the third stage at Damnation 2022, absolutely rammed the place and against Wolves in the throne room. So it wasn't like they had an easy clash either. Absolutely rammed the place. And then they'd done their own headline tour, sold out everywhere. Then they'd done Electric Ballroom, I think that's 1,500 capacity, sold out. So you're a bit like, what's the next step for them? They're moving into the Forum and then regionally maybe venues that are 1,000, 1,500 capacity. And you're a bit like, that's good going. I would love to see that continue. I'd love to see a band like Greenlung from the UK crack through and make it to be that band who could headline a Damnation. I mean, are they one of those ones that fall between the cracks of both your events?
No, I would book them for Arctangent. I tried to book them this year. It's not really an Arctangent band, but I feel like 20% of the Arctangent lineup. You know, I put fucking Blood Command this year. But basically, there's a bunch of bands, MS Paint, that aren't really Arctangent bands.
Yeah.
That you can just, it doesn't matter. If you don't want to watch MS Paint, watch Mogwai. It's giving away the clash. You know, I think Greenlung would be amazing at Arctangent, and you'd class them with something techie. And you know, you can either watch Greenlung in the dark, fucking they're late night in like Bixler or Yoko stage would be amazing. I really like that last album. So yeah. So and you're right, they've got proper fucking hits, so you can imagine them getting bigger, and they do sound like Ghost.
I mean, those guys. I mean, you get the ones that, like Malevolence are an easy shout as well. I mean, they've done 1,500 tickets at the Ritz in Manchester, so they're maybe at the moment maybe that level just above or with Greenlung, definitely to go places. I mean, they've been kicking a bit for fucking ever, and we had them booked. We had them booked for like the cancelled Damnation to like play the second slot on the main stage, and they just came out the other side of the pandemic and just right to the moon as well. Absolutely took off.
I wonder what their audience is, whether it's a Damnation audience or whether it's a younger audience. I don't know. I think it's
that nice crossover. You get some of the bands that just manage to latch on to enough of the Damnation audience that it makes sense, and then you get some of the bands almost in the same genre that the Damnation audience be like, who the fuck are you talking about? Like, what is this band? And I mean, and Malevolence are, you know what, because see, when you listen to them, I think a lot of people saw them for all these years as a hardcore band, and then you listen to them, a lot of it sounds like Crowbar. I mean, a lot of it's like proper New Orleans riffs. I mean, I think the guy is the guitarist or the bass player. He seems like he's dead.
But young people are into it though, right? And I tried to book them for 2000 Trees this year. So it's like, and I think that would work in our heavy.
And what happened? Bloodstock didn't share.
You know the answer.
I wonder what it came up to.
What episode is it? Was that the first time?
You said the last one. You said that Bloodstock don't share bands with you, so that's the first example that you've came up with. You know, it's weird because I always think if you get a band, you've either got a band the UK exclusive or don't say it at all. You know what I mean? And I'm saying this isn't a dig at Bloodstock, this is a dig at anybody, maybe even you yourself who does this. Like when you start putting festival exclusive in posters, like all that ever says to me is this band will be touring. I mean, you might as well say expect a tour soon. So it's either UK exclusive or just don't mention it. So but I think I'm pretty certain they've got Fest exclusive. And then I hadn't thought about it until you mentioned Malevolence. Like, you're not getting them at 2000 Trees. That's the end of it, James.
I know. Next year it is.
Who else was kicking about that I thought? One more that I thought. I've never booked this band, but Bleed From Within, my fellow Glaswegians, they have also came back, and everything I see seems to be successful. It's They sold, I think it sold at the garage up here. I don't know, is that 800, 900 cap? Sold out everything, all the shows that I see them through Europe, absolutely packed. I don't know why we've never crossed paths with Bleed from Within. I think it just went that whole patch when Damnation was getting bigger. They weren't a band, and now they've been bigger. They've been in the likes of Download and Bloodstock and done the European tour. So they're another band. If they keep in that trajectory as well, you're getting that the Green Lung, Malevolence. I mean, if you imagine a future Damnation where you had the three of them at the top end, I mean, that's three very different genres with different fan bases attracting big numbers. So I'm a bit more hopeful that I've given this question some thought that there's bands out there. But my God, I'd love to see Conjurer. I mean, Brady asked the question. I mean, that'd be a dream for me, like a Conjurer, a Bosk being. I'd love to pay the guys 40 grand. I'd love to. Like, there you go. Fucking, he's putting the hard yards. He's sold out the forum. He's went and smashed it through Europe. You deserve this slot, so I have it. I mean, there'd be nothing. You honestly think I'd rather get that money to some strangers from our country? No, I'd rather get to Brady and Tom Begley. You know what I mean? But it's just about getting these bands across that line.
Yeah, I'm not giving Tom Begley 40 grand, just to be clear. So for me, the bands that I was thinking about on Arctangent that I think could headline, and I really think these two are like nailed on. One is Zeal Ardor. So I am like a massive Zeal Ardor fan. Like their last album was brilliant, and this is a great example of what we were talking about with booking agents. Their agent Ross, I can literally remember I was out for a walk and he rang me and he was like, "There's this new band," and he gave me the Zeal Ardor pitch, which was quite. If you remember when they first came out, it was quite a weird thing. It was like, like American chain gang music cross with black metal. Weird. They're not actually that anymore, but that's what their initial thing was. And I was like, "Oh, that sounds cool. That sounds like it'd work at Arctangent." And then they've slowly got better and better, and that last album is like amazing. I don't really know why they're not bigger. They should be.
They should be bigger. They tick every box.
Yeah.
Then they've got that American sort of backing. These American bands just blow up as well.
But they've got like riffs. They've got like bounce. They've got hooks, choruses. There's like similarities and crossovers with someone like System of a Down. Like you can see why System of a Down got popular. So Zeal Ardor, headline Arctangent. Let's do it. That'd be amazing. And the other one is Brutus. Now Brutus, they're playing the long game and they are slowly growing. Brutus, I think they did over 600 people the last time they came to Bristol, presumably much bigger in London, and they are gradually getting bigger and bigger. And I'm a big fan of them. They're lovely people, super nice to deal with, and they write songs. And it's different, isn't it? They don't really sound like a lot of the stuff that I would book at either Trees or actually. There's not many bands that would work at all three of our festivals, but I think that's one. So we'd love to have both those bands. I mean, Zeal Ardor couldn't work out for this year, but was one of the ones we went for this year. And the rare off year from Arctangent. I mean, it's like if I'm going to get one gap in the schedule to finally book Zeal Ardor, and James doesn't get it, would be this year. But it turns out that we're doing something else other in America at the time. So, and Brutus is just one of those ones we've just never managed to make the schedules work either. But both absolutely incredible. And they're obviously international bands rather than British bands, but great bands you'd love to see going up the and they're great examples for Arctangent where you're not looking at a Frank Carter or Idols or whatever that you're seeing these Bob Vylans that are exploding onto the scene with the help of Radio 1 and NME and all the rest of the alternative press. So that's they're great examples. They're going bit by bit, aren't they? I saw Brutus at Download last year, and Dave Lombardo from Slayer, if it doesn't need any introduction, was there with Empire State Bastard, and Stephanie from Brutus was like absolutely bashing the shit out of her kit as she does. And like Lombardo was just stood there at the side of the stage, just nodding and like with a little grin on his face. And I saw them saw Brutus at Arctangent. And I was like, "Did you know that Lombardo was watching you from the side of the stage?" And they're like, "Yeah." I mean, he's like the drummer's drummer, isn't he? And it's pretty cool that he was into them.
So pretty positive then. I mean, 2000 Trees clearly has that well-trodden path. It's built for that. It operates in that zone, that market where you're getting those bands, as you say, they get those bands that are looking to break. Arctangent does have roots to the top, and it's nice to see as well. You think the UK, when you get some of the bands that have headlined Arctangent, you think, well, where would like a Shellac or a Glassjaw headline if it wasn't Arctangent in the UK? I mean, where would they go to do that? So it's nice to see that there's an opportunity for bands like that to come and go, okay, here's a slot that you deserve and on a festival weird enough to make it happen. And that's Arctangent's place. And then you've got ourselves, who, again, I'm not the most excited in the world to be booking Electric Wizard for the second or third time. I'd love it. God, I'd love it that to have been employed to sell for Svalbard or Conjurer or Bosk. But ultimately, that's not where we are yet. But I hope, Brady, I hope one day it is you, mate. I hope one day it is you.
Amazing. I wanted to give a quick shout out to a couple of really tiny bands that I think are going to be. One is called Unpeople. They've got 2 songs out at the moment. But they've already got like some fucking tens of thousands of Spotify plays. So they're not a tiny band, but they don't even have an EP yet. It's the former band from Preston Eco. They're playing Arctangent and 2000 Trees this year. It's quite heavy but very catchy. It's very 2000 Trees. Their songs are really good.
Unpeople. Unpeople.
Yeah, and they've got a big team around them. I don't know, am I supposed to say that? I don't know. Like, they've got some proper people working with them. I've got the vibes from that band. So Unpeople. And then I've already talked about Vower at Arctangent. I know you enjoyed that, Gav, because there's no songs to listen to. And a couple of other bands, Panic Shack, Blood Command, Scalar. I think all of those could rise up and be big. Scalar at Arctangent is an interesting one because they used to be called Scalping.
Yeah.
I keep booking them because people really like it and it's different for the festival. It's like live band electronic stuff, it's called. And yeah, I just like, I could talk about this all night. I'm going to shut up in a minute, but it's so exciting looking at bands and going like that. The sort of thing I just said about Unpeople, or what I said a couple of weeks ago about Vower, really gets me out of bed in the morning, because that's fucking cool. You can give a band some sort of platform.
Yeah.
And
And
you see them at the start of their career.
Exactly. And it's great to be able to do that, and it is exciting. I'm glad that, this has been a real fanboy episode of just how much we're into our fucking music. Between the stages and the bands, and who we want to see, because it is that is the reason we've got the buzz for it, rather than, because I suppose you could just be going, but a lot of festivals do tick the box with how many do you sell. What do you sell? So, because it's a very tried and tested way of doing it. Like, ultimately, does it matter where you came from, what your backstory is? If you're trying to climb up the ranks, like, how many tickets did you do in London? All right, you done 4,000 tickets in London, right? Good, bang, you fit that hole right here. There's what we need for that, and that's less exciting because that's kind of just billing and booking by numbers. So, I'm hopeful. It's the UK metal scene seems to be in good health at the minute, and it'd be great to see these headliners. I'd love to be doing this, having these chat with you in 2-3 years' time, and be like, "Fuck me, man." Mind when we'll talk about Greenlung and Malevolence and Bleed from Within, and they're all bigger than Damnation now. You know what I mean? They passed through Damnation and Arctangent, and now they're making their way up to the top of the Downloads main stage. So, I hope that is the case, and I hope our festivals get to play their part in that. So, good, cheery, positive stuff. Now, you must have some miserable music to add to the playlist.
No, I don't, Gav.
Happy stuff this week.
You bullied me into it. I'm going to go. I'm not sure it's happy, but it's not miserable. So I actually have quite an eclectic taste in music, but that has not been borne out by my recommendations so far. Maybe so. I wanted to recommend a band called Blanket. So they played Arctangent and Trees, I think. And to be honest, if I'm going to be brutally honest, I quite liked Blanket previously. They were like a post-rock band. I'm not the world's biggest post-rock fan.
Oddly,
you are. So I think that I wasn't that excited, but basically I put on this new album that's just come out. It's come out on Choach Road Records, and if you're of a certain age where you remember the late 90s, the late 90s were a fucking good time for like commercial rock music. Even bands that nowadays are shit were amazing then. So here's three: Feeder, Foo Fighters, and Muse. Now, this blanket record gives me vibes of those. It gives me massive debut album Feeder vibes. Now, believe me, Feeder were great at that time. Loads of shoegaze, actual songs though, proper songs. Anyone who calls this band a post-rock band anymore is mad. And I have to apologise to Blanket because I haven't booked them this year. And this record's only just come out and both festivals are full. But if I get any dropouts, I'm going to book Blanket because honestly, it's just like, it makes me feel like I'm 19 again. And it really takes me back to music I used to listen to.
Yeah.
When Foo Fighters were good and Feeder were good. And,
you know. When you say that as well, because for you, I mean, that must be almost a certainty. There's no way you're keeping 300 bands across both those festivals all in situ. So, I mean, I think there's a good chance that Blanket will be getting on one of them at least.
Oh, we're getting a dropout. Well, you can't avoid it, 100%. There'll be a couple of dropouts at some point. And, yeah.
Blanket are on the list.
It's really great.
Well, Blanket, I hope you're listening, guys. Get your holidays put in. what a great entry podcast for Blanket. There you go, guys. We're fucking in main stage at 2000 Trees. Right. Okay. Let's say I am not going to be happy this week. Meryl Streek. I went to Tenerife with my wife last weekend. We had 4 days across there, no kids. And I was like, I am devoting all my time that my wife isn't asking me to go and get her cocktails at the bar to listening to new music. I'm listening to everything, listening to soft play stuff. The new stuff anyway was fantastic. I get a chance to listen to the new Frail Body album before I went to that gig, and I came across Meryl Streek. Now, I didn't know at the time that he was playing 2000 Trees. And even better, I didn't know at the time he's playing 2000 Trees in the day that I'm going to be there. So I'm actually going to get to see the guy. And my God, it was, I mean, everything else just seemed a little wet in comparison after I'd listened to Meryl Streek. And it annoys me because that same guy I mentioned earlier, my pal Andy Catigan, he said, come and see Kneecap. Come and see Kneecap. And like, I've heard Kneecap a few times. Great, cracking Irish sort of hip-hoppy style band. And this Meryl Streek was supporting at the Barrowlands too, at the fucking Barrowlands. And then he'd done his own show at Stereo that my mate also went to. And I missed it twice. One of these ones, fucking missed it twice, sitting in there in Tenerife, earphones on, like this Irish punk, almost spoken word, but uses a lot of samples like electronic, rave, traditional Irish music against this most fucking harrowing lyrical content about the abuse of priests and nuns and fucking the bodies of, was it 796 infants being found in a septic tank, and fucking he hates landlords and he hates politicians and he fucking hates drug dealers and he hates, and it's just, and because he's done in spoken word and against these samples that are so jarring with it just makes, he's just almost shouting the words at you. There's no even attempt at singing. And in that Irish accent, I was like, this is the best thing I've heard in ages. Absolute ages. I fucking absolutely love it. I'm going to recommend the track Death to the Landlord because that seems to be the most accessible one, and it's the one that's like at the top of Spotify. But I mean, all of them, I mean, fucking False Apologies is harrowing. Does one to his dad, who, for what I can get for the track, he must have lost his dad when he was 33, and it was his absolute hero. And I mean, I messaged the guy that night, and I said, listen, just came across your album. Fucking sublime, man. I was glad I was wearing sunglasses by the time Dad came on, man. Fucking bubbling at the side of the swimming pool in Tenerife. So, and he get back and says, listen, you've got anything for us, let me know, what I mean? So, I'm not quite sure like Meryl Streek we could do it Damnation, but fucking hell, it's like, I was just totally blown away. It's been a long time since just getting introduced to an artist. I was like, oh my God, this is my absolute new favourite band. And I can get a wee bit carried away sometimes with my new favourite band of the week. But that one was an absolute peach, and I'm looking forward to more people from my side of the divide, or the metal side of the divide, getting to hear it. So, I mean, I've been interested. I've never had a chance to speak to you about, well, how did that come about for you with Meryl Streek?
I mean, that's one of those ones where there are a lot of booking agents that I deal with at 2000 Trees who they're the ones going out and really A&Ring and finding the acts and stuff. And there was an agent had sent me a couple of bands, and they send you like the blurb, which is like, this is what's going on, this is why this act's hot and stuff. And if what they've sent piques your interest, then you go and listen. And I listened, and I was like, it's just like perfect 2000 Trees music. You know, it fits with, like, Kneecap have played 2000 Trees a bunch of times. It fits with, like, you know, Bob Vylan and like a bit of soft play, and you know, it's all that sort of, like, I'm not saying it sounds like any of those bands, but kind of inhabits the same vibe. And so I'm like, yeah, it just sounds perfect. You know, like I said before, I try not to overthink things with those sort of bookings. If you get the vibe, because I've got enough slots where I can just be like, yeah, that sounds fucking cool, I'm going to book it. Yeah. So they're playing on the new stage at 2000 Trees, which is like, I don't know, it's about 1,000 cap, and it's you know, it's the smallest stage, and it'll be fucking great in there, I think.
I tell you, James, I don't.
Tops off.
No, oh, absolutely. Tops off, fucking. I mean, I'm climbing the tent for fucking Meryl Streek, but if I'm down there for that one day and the Thursday, and you manage to clash him with Manchester Orchestra or Spanish love songs, we're going to need to have a long, hard chat, son.
No, you're safe on those two, mate. You're safe.
What day, by the way. Like, some great Meryl Streek, Spanish love songs, and Manchester Orchestra. Yep. And I'm sure that, what's the headline band? Gaslight Anthem,
yeah.
They sound fine as well. So, I mean, the other three, absolutely.
You should have stopped at that. They sound fine. You were doing so well.
Well, I mean, it's like, I'm sure I'm going to enjoy it, but I mean, Spanish love songs, Manchester Orchestra, Meryl Streek, and I'll check out some of our bands that are playing that day. But
Better Lovers on that day as well.
Better Lovers, there you go. You get 4 absolute bangers. I mean, that makes a festival day anyway. 3 or 4 bands that you're really looking forward to makes a festival day anyway, between going for food and having a drink and catching up with people. So that's amazing. That Thursday, I mean, I'd like to. I'm no chance I'm going to be able to be there by the time Bob Vylan play. I'd love to have caught Bob Vylan, but I'll need to get back up the road because I'm flying to Mexico the next morning. But that day's a fucking peach. It's an absolute peach. I'd have been heartbroken if I looked at that lineup in Meryl Streek. I mean, I would literally have been trying to strong arm you, beg you to move the guy 2 days forward if it was like the Saturday.
Yeah, it is like it's meant to be. If you can only be there for those 2 days, it's going to be good.
It's going to be great. Is it a secret, the podcast thing currently?
Well, no. Well, I think we can say that we think we're going to do a live on stage thing at 2000 Trees, don't we?
I think we can say that.
We're definitely going to do live on stage at Arctangent. We are trying to shoehorn ourselves. We're enjoying ourselves so much that we've decided you're going to be at Trees for the first time since 2012.
Yeah,
and so it seems like the thing to do to get.
Seems like the thing to do. So listen, if you're a Trees listener, you're somebody that's already get a ticket for Trees, let us know what you'd like us to do, because obviously we can do the whole come out here and talk about Trees, obviously, and take some questions. But what do you want here? I mean, so it'd be nice to plan that one properly instead of just walking out on stage. And the difference with this, because you've done a live podcast with me before for Damnation Versus, but mate, you're co-hosting this with me, and I will take 90% of the responsibility, but you still need to be. I'm not just going to be sitting there asking you questions.
Okay, we'll see. But I promise not to bring any notes with me or any preparation.
No, that's fine. I can deal with that. It feels like most of the way you've done this anyway. So we'll
yes, fair play.
All good. I fuck knows, man. I'm not even looking at the time. I think of that question with the 2 stages get carried away a wee bit. So listen, if you're home to listen to this in your lunch break and now you're 2 hours late, say sorry to your boss for Gav and James, all right?
Very good. Cheers, Gav.